Sawadee-ka, thank you for joining us on Newsline for Tuesday, February 11th of 2014. My name is Sandra Saha. In today's top stories, a blast near the protest site of the People's Army Against Thaksin regime injured 6 people. And in business news, the Commerce Ministry is ready to sell more than 200,000 tons of rice stockpiles. And now let's take a look at the headlines for today. One of the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, core leaders under arrest warrant, Sontiyan Chunrithaitam, has been apprehended by police and sent to Pathum Thani province for detention. Mr. Sontiyan, who is a former director of T News Agency and one of the 19 PDRC core figures, her arrest warrants had been issued, gave a phone interview to the media while under police custody. He disclosed that police approached him for an arrest while he was having a meal at Central Plaza Lat Pao shopping center. The protest leader was unfazed by his capture, saying the PDRC movement was conducted within the people's constitutional right. Assistant National Police Chief Police Lieutenant General Winai Tongsong, who was leading the arresting team, stated that Mr. Sontiyan admitted he was the person being sought after by police when he was approached and was very cooperative. Since the arrest was made under the emergency decree, he noted that a bond could be put up for his temporary release, but the decision would depend on the investigative officers. Mr. Sontiyan has been sent for detention at the Border Patrol Police Region 1 headquarters in Pathum Thani. According to the law, he can initially be held by the police for no longer than 7 days. A request for an extension of 30 days might be submitted to the court before a criminal case is raised against the suspect. The Center for Maintaining Peace and Order is planning to issue arrest warrants for 13 more protest leaders on charges of violating the emergency decree. CMPO Secretary General Tarit Pengdit said the agency is seeking court approval for fresh arrest warrants for 13 more People's Democratic Reform Committee leaders. The latest batch includes Jitapat Grisadagon, Sombat Tamrong Tanyawong, Seri Wongmonta, and Puti Isara. The CMPO also announced that it will reveal the names of the PDRC's 136 financial backers on Tuesday. The Department of Special Investigation is set to launch investigations on all of the listed individuals. On Monday afternoon, police also arrested Sontiyan Chunrithaitam, a PDRC leader on the wanted list at Central Lat Pao complex in connection with his alleged violation of the emergency decree. He is being detained at a police facility in Pathum Thani province. A blast near the protest site of the People's Army Against Thaksin regime injured 6 Bangkok City Hall landscaping staff, with 2 sustaining serious injuries. Monday's explosion was believed to have been caused by an improvised explosive device hidden near a tree on the median strip of the Ratchavan Road segment near the protest venue of the anti-government group. In addition to the injuries, the blast damaged a car that was parked nearby. Authorities revealed the improvised bomb was wrapped in black-colored tape and left underneath a wooden plank at the median divide island. The Bangkok Metropolitan Administration staff were believed to have either stepped on the bomb or struck it with one of their tools, hence triggering it. Police Major General Wanlop Pratummuang, commander of Metropolitan Police 6, said authorities were asking People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, guards to return a similar bomb they had taken from the site, as holding onto it was hazardous. He said witnesses asserted that PDRC guards had indeed taken one of the devices after the explosion on Monday. The negotiation between farmer protesters and the government has ended with a walkout after representatives of the government failed to give a clear date as to when it would pay farmers in the rice support program. During the protesters' meeting with the government officials, Commerce Minister Niwat Thamrong Bunsong Paisan said the government had continuously paid rice farmers over the past 6 months, but payments had been delayed after that due to the dissolution of parliament. The caretaker government had asked for loans from commercial banks, but it had been turned down. The minister said he would request the cabinet meeting today to approve a central budget worth 712 million baht to pay the farmers. The protesters showed contempt for the minister's explanation and criticized the government for its lack of preparations before the House was dissolved. They walked out of the meeting in protest. After the meeting, chairman of the Northern Farmers Network, Kitisak Ratanawaraha, announced that the protesting farmers would occupy all rice warehouses across the country, starting with the north from the 10th of February onward. Large crowds have flocked to a temporary passport services office set up at the Queen Sirikit National Convention Center on the first day of its opening. According to reports, Thais wishing to renew their passports began to form a long line at the office early this morning. However, the application quota for the day was filled up in just an hour. The office can process up to 600 applications per day. The office at the Queen Sirikit National Convention Center opens daily from 8:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Two other backup offices at Bang Na and Pinklao also saw long queues of people, many of whom had been waiting since last night, waiting to file their applications. The Department of Consular Affairs made known that its main computer server is now operational and up to 7,000 passports can be processed daily. The server had been restarted since last week, following a long occupation of the government complex by anti-government protesters. Many people still had trouble getting their passports on Monday, although the Department of Consular Affairs headquarters in Bangkok is now functional. In Nakhon Ratchasima, where the passport office had been closed for many weeks due to political protests, officials were only able to process 220 requests per day because of glitches with the computerized system. Many of the visitors had to go home empty-handed. Monday was the day many passport offices resumed service, and a situation of overcrowding and long queues was similar at all of the offices. In Ubon Ratchathani, the passport office was only able to service 144 visitors, and many people who traveled from nearby provinces did not get what they came for. In Phuket, scores of people arrived at the passport office since 3 in the morning on Monday, and many of these early arriving visitors were let down as the office could only process 120 requests. The Department of Consular Affairs was asking members of the public who will not be traveling abroad in the next 6 months to hold off on their passport renewal in order to allow those with urgent needs to get their travel documents first. Authorities in the Deep South recovered scores of bomb-making items from a temporary outpost used by separatist insurgents, which was cleared out by paramilitary rangers on Sunday. Officials said the materials uncovered could have been used to make at least 30 improvised explosive devices. The outpost was one of the RKK militants' bomb-making facilities in the 3 southernmost border provinces. Bombs made at such sites were used to perpetrate unrest incidents in the Deep South. According to officials, militant leaders who operated in Rangat, Jatnat, and Airong districts of Narathiwat also used the outpost to plot their operations. Officials also found evidence indicating that militants were preparing to use the bombs made at the outpost on February 13th, which is the 1-year anniversary of the killing of their leader, Maraso Jantarawadi, by Navy Marines during the botched siege of the latter's base in Bajot district. And the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, or ASEAN, has come to a conclusion that this year it will put an emphasis on developing the small and medium enterprise, or SME, segment in the grouping. Deputy Director General of Thailand's Department of Trade and Negotiations, Somkiat Tri Ratanapan, said the meeting agreed to support the private sector's investment in infrastructure development projects in the region, adding that the Economic Research Institute for ASEAN and East Asia, or ERIA, has been assigned to study the direction of tentative business cooperation among regional entrepreneurs after the formation of the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC, next year. Mr. Somkiat said the meeting agreed that ASEAN would push for the realization of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership Agreement, or ASEAN Plus 6, within 2015, with an aim of forming a large-scale free trade territory offering high-quality products to the world's population. ASEAN would soon hold talks with Hong Kong and China to clinch free trade deals, allowing Thai goods to penetrate more Chinese markets in the future. And that's the end of our first segment. We now take a short break, but coming up next, Thai shares retreated yesterday as protests by rice farmers added to the political uncertainty. Don't go away.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติแล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline, and first up in our business news, the Commerce Ministry is reportedly ready to sell more than 200,000 tons of rice stockpiles during the rice auction via the Agricultural Futures Exchange of Thailand, whose income is expected to be used to pay farmers who have not received the payments of the Rice Support Program. Deputy Commerce Minister Yanyong Phonrat revealed that the Agricultural Futures Exchange of Thailand, or AFET, would sell 227,000 tons of rice from 11 silos in 8 provinces in a new round of rice auction on Thursday, adding that another batch of 460,000 tons would be sold during a general auction, along with a bigger lot of 500,000 tons to be auctioned among rice mills. The 2 latter auctions will also be conducted this month, Mr. Yanyong added, raising the total amount of stockpiled rice to be released in February to 1.2 million tons. The deputy minister expected the auctions would generate about 10 billion baht, which will be used to pay farmers who are waiting for payments for the rice already pledged with the government. According to him, the government currently owes around 116 billion baht to farmers in the rice pledging scheme. The Bangkok Mass Transit Authority, or BMTA, stated it faces a 2.7 million baht loss daily as commuters have switched to MRT and BTS amid Bangkok protests. BMTA Deputy Managing Director Nared Bunpiam made the revelation, explaining that since the People's Democratic Reform Committee, or PDRC, initiated its mass gathering on January 13th, The majority of its passengers have switched to using the MRT subway or BTS SkyTrain as their preferred modes of transportation in order to avoid traffic congestion caused by the demonstrations. He said that the move has inevitably damaged the BMTA's revenue, putting a dent of approximately 2.7 million baht of income a day. Mr. Nared said that currently there are 2,520 buses running only 22,000 trips daily. He expressed his concerns that the number would further decline should the political gatherings persist and would cause long-term damage to its income. Meanwhile, he said that the company, in its bid to provide better services, has conducted another round of route adjustment, resulting in buses plying 49 roads to change its routes to avoid venturing into protest sites. Authorities will keep an eye on rose prices during Valentine's Day in order to prevent unscrupulous flower shops from taking advantage of consumers during this special day of love. According to the Office of Consumer Protection Board, or OCBD, inspections will be carried out at big flower markets such as the Pak Klong Talai Flower Market, with a focus on the prices and quality of roses. Sellers found to charge consumers inordinately for no apparent reason will be prosecuted by the Internal Trade Department. Like every year, many flower shops tend to take advantage of consumers, especially teenagers, by excessively increasing flower prices during Valentine's Day. Apart from the Valentine's Day products, offering sets for monks will also be inspected based on its labeling to ensure that items in the set meet quality standards. Thai shares were tweeted yesterday as protests by rice farmers added to the political uncertainty, while Singapore stocks paired losses to rise as active buying in mid-caps such as Genting Singapore outweighed concerns about a proposed reform of market rules. According to local brokers, the Thai Set Index closed 0.5% lower from a two-week closing high of 1,296.49 in the previous session, amid political problems and technical-led selling around 1,300 level. More than 1,000 farmers protested outside the Thai government's temporary headquarters yesterday over the state's failure to pay for rice bought under a subsidy scheme that the caretaker administration admits it is struggling to fund. Singapore's main index ended up 0.1% at 3,017.2, bouncing off the day's low of 3,003.48. Genting Singapore rose 1.8% and was the top percentage gainer, buoyed by a brokerage upgrade and its plan to develop a $2.2 billion casino resort in South Korea. Shares of bourse operator Singapore Exchange fell 1%, the biggest percentage loser on the benchmark, as the proposed market reforms released late on Friday worried investors of a possible fall in trading volumes. And before we take our next break, let's have a quick look at the exchange rates and commodity prices.
Open the world of information. Embrace public participation. Present Thainess to the world. New dimension of the government's public relations. The 80th anniversary of the Public Relations Department. Creative media for the society. Mobilizing Thailand towards the ASEAN community.
เมื่อมนุษย์ทำลายสมดุลทางธรรมชาติ แล้วมนุษย์ก็เป็นผู้ประสบภัยพิบัติจากธรรมชาติร่วมสร้างอนาคตลดภัยพิบัติระดมพลังพลิกฟื้นคืนผืนป่าในทุกชุมชนทั่วประเทศ
For those who have Android smartphones, you can download a PRD News application by searching for PRD News English in Play Store. That way, you can stay up to date with the latest happenings in Thailand.
Welcome back to Newsline. The Yala Red Cross has been on the move with its mobile blood donation team, collecting blood supply for victims of violence, flooding, and natural disasters in the South. The move has seen soldiers, police, students, and the general public lining up to donate blood for a worthwhile cause. Insurgent attacks in the southern border provinces have reportedly caused blood supply shortages, prompting the Red Cross to initiate the blood donation move while requesting for blood from the central center at the same time. This move has been well received by the general public. The highest amount of blood the Red Cross has received so far is on December 5th, His Majesty's birthday. Nakhon Phanom Province is urging local farmers to delay off-season cultivation as water levels in its major reservoirs is 30% lower this year than last year's. Nakhon Phanom authorities are speedily installing water pumps in agricultural areas given the drought season has arrived early this year. The province has, however, warned local farmers to slow down their off-season cultivation due to the decreasing amount of water in the province's main reservoirs, which is 30% lower this year than the amount measured during the same period of last year. To make matters worse, over 30,000 rai of land are being used for off-season farming, 10,000 rai more than the area allowed by the province. Meanwhile, the provincial governor has inspected a river basin development project and visited drought-affected areas in That Phanom district in order to assess the overall situation. He said the province would need to maintain its water level at 35 million cubic meters in order for the farmers to get through this year's drought. 16 educational institutions in the southern part of Thailand have declared war against alcoholic beverages in order to help eliminate social problems in society. At Wat Phrathát Waravihan in Nakhon Si Thammarat province, representatives from 16 educational institutions inked an agreement to create a network fighting against alcohol. The agreement was also indicative of the group's strong commitment to eradicating child abuse, drug abuse, and road accidents, as well as to strengthen and enhance the potential of the Thai communities. According to Walailak University, as the number of entertainment venues around school areas has been increasing at an alarming rate, the network would help students resist the temptation to drink and get everyone involved in its effort to reduce social problems. It also urged responsible agencies to help push the alcohol drinking problem as a national reform agenda so that everyone could be more aware of its danger. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. For any comments or suggestions, please feel free to email them to us at newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Facebook. Just simply type in NNT or check out our website at thainews.prd.go.th/newseng. That's NEWSENG. And we're going to say goodbye with some information from Suan Nong Nut, our defending champion. Nong Nut Tropical Garden will defend its title at the prestigious Chelsea Flower Show 2014 in London, England. Have a great day. I'm Sandra Hanut Saha. Sawadee ka.